You are someone's target right now. Not metaphorical, not as a figure of speech. Someone, and you may already know who, gathered last night, not for a conversation, for a ritual. They had your photo, a real image of you, your face, your energy, your name written underneath it, placed deliberately at the center of something dark. And in that ritual, with specific intent, they made a decision about your life, about your light, about how much of it they were willing to let continue. They looked at your image and they decided that what's coming off you has gotten too bright for them to tolerate. So they moved against it, against you. Last night, something shifted in the invisible architecture around your life. A deliberate, coordinated act of spiritual erasure performed in the dark, using the most personal thing they could get their hands on, your likeness. They were trying to cut the cord between you and the people, the spaces, the opportunities that belong to your future, using your own image as the tool. And here is what makes this urgent. The moment they lit that ritual, the exact moment your photo was placed in that circle, Archangel Michael arrived over your life. Your light didn't just survive what they attempted, it destroyed it. But you need to understand what actually happened last night, because right now you are feeling something in your body you cannot quite name. And that feeling is the reason this is finding you today. You felt it for weeks, maybe longer. Something is off, not dramatically, not obviously. Just this slow hum of wrongness that follows you into rooms where everyone is smiling. You walk in and something shifts. Someone's eyes move too quickly. A conversation changes temperature when you arrive. You replay interactions at night. Not because you are paranoid. No, but because your discernment is picking up something real. You feel like you are being managed, like someone is running a quiet campaign around your name in spaces where you have no voice. And the worst part, you cannot point to one single thing. It's not a confrontation, it's 1,000 micro moments that individually look like nothing, but together feel like someone is slowly and methodically building a wall between you and everything you've walked toward. That's not anxiety. No, that's your spirit reading a real situation. And the fact that you are here right now, hearing this, means you already know on some level that this is bigger than personality, conflicts, and workplace drama. Here is what's actually happening in the invisible. There are people, some close, some adjacent, some you trusted with pieces of your real self, who have identified you as a threat. Not because you are dangerous, because you are different. Because the kind of light that moves through you makes a certain people deeply uncomfortable in ways they cannot fully articulate to themselves. And rather than examine that discomfort, they have chosen to eliminate the source. So they started talking carefully, quietly, with language that sounds almost reasonable on the surface. Concern, honestly, just sharing what they noticed. But underneath every softly worded sentence is the specific goal. Rewrite the story of who you are. Attach your name to instability. Attach your name to conflict. Make you seem like the problem so they can justify your removal from the project, from the circle, from the room. And here is the part that makes this feel like the air has been punched out of you. It's usually not strangers doing this. Yeah, the people running this campaign around your name, people who sat at your table, people who know your weak spots because you trusted them enough to show your weak spots. The enemy doesn't waste this kind of precision attack on people who are going nowhere. He used intimate knowledge to build the most convincing possible case against you. And last night, something escalated. A meeting, a message thread, a decision made in a closed room, and the ripple of that decision is what you've been feeling in your body all day. Now, let me tell you something they fundamentally misunderstood about you when they chose you as their target. Your light isn't just a glow, it's a frequency. And that frequency, the specific vibration of who you are, what you carry, the authority that moves through your life, is like a sound they cannot process. When you walk into a room, your frequency acts like a signal that shatters the architecture of their dark intentions before you've said a single word. They are not just uncomfortable with you. No, they are physically and spiritually destabilized by your presence. The ritual they attempted last night wasn't born from confidence. I want to say some words about confidence. It was born from desperation. Desperation because they have been feeling the effects of your frequency for a long time. The way their carefully constructed narratives keep developing cracks when you are nearby. The way people they thought they'd fully turned keep gravitating back toward you. The way your name keeps surfacing in conversations they were trying to close. Their obsession with removing you is not a sign of your vulnerability. It's the ultimate proof of your authority. We say results don't lie. Well, the real of your is the most honest result they have ever produced. That level of coordinated, sustained, escalating effort to remove someone from a space. That's not what people do to someone who doesn't matter. That is what darkness does when it's standing in front of something it genuinely cannot defeat any other way. But here is where everything changes. The moment they moved against you, and I mean the exact moment, not after, not eventually. Archangel Michael moved first. Yeah, that is how protected you actually are. You think of Michael as a guardian who arrives after danger, like a response team. Michael has drawn a perimeter around your life that was established before last night's ritual was even conceived. A spiritual perimeter, not a suggestion, not a soft boundary, but a line of fire that no dark force has the clearance to cross. When they launched last night, they didn't reach you. They hit a wall they couldn't see coming. An invisible barrier of protection so complete, so specifically calibrated to the threat against you, that the ritual didn't just fail. It failed on contact. And I need you to feel the full weight of that. You didn't have to fight back. You didn't have to know it was happening. You didn't have to defend yourself or pray the right prayer or say the right things. Your protection is not performance dependent. It is a default setting of your soul. You are, in the most literal spiritual sense of the word, untouchable. Not because you earned it in the last 24 hours, because of what was placed inside you before you had a name. Think of yourself as the sun, not a candle, not a lamp. The sun that never sets on what God has established in your life. Darkness, the plots, the rituals, the coordinated campaign against your name. Darkness exists only in spaces where light has not yet arrived. And you have arrived. Everywhere your life has touched, light has touched. The people trying to remove you can close their eyes. They can move into the shadowed corners of whatever system they are operating in. They can hold their meetings in the dark and speak your name quietly and build their case carefully in rooms with the blinds drawn. But they cannot stop your peace, your frequency. They cannot reverse your trajectory. You cannot remove the sun from the sky by deciding not to look at it. And Archangel Michael in this situation is not just your bodyguard. Michael is the gravity that keeps your light at the top. The forces that ensures your position, your altitude, your shine stays exactly where it was placed. Has to be. They can try to pull you down. Gravity doesn't negotiate. And this is exactly the place where your light is most powerful. When you choose not to take the bait, not because you are weak, not because you are pretending nothing is happening, but because you understand that a certain kind of stillness is the most dangerous thing you can bring to a spiritual attack. There is something almost violent about that kind of peace in the middle of the coordinated assault. Violent to the forces trying to destabilize you. Because here is the physics of it. And this is the thing they never understood when they chose you. Darkness doesn't fight light. It ceases to exist in light's presence. There is no battle between a candle and the dark. The moment the candle is lit, the dark is simply gone. It doesn't retreat. It doesn't regroup. It dissolves, like smoke in the wind. the ritual they performed last night and everything they have ever been quietly constructing around your name for weeks, maybe, is smoke. And you are the wind. The moment you step fully into the awareness of what you carry, their architecture collapses. Not because you attacked it, because you showed up. The dark ritual didn't fail because you fought back. It failed because you are here. And here is where the sun lives. When you stay rooted in who you are while their campaign is running, you become unremovable. Not because you fought back, because you didn't move. You carry authority that most people never access, because most people get pulled into the fight at the wrong level. You are being called to fight at the level your enemies cannot follow you to. The level where you guard your heart. The level where you refuse to let their version of your story live inside your head. The level where you keep moving, keep creating, keep showing up with your full presence. Not because you've solved it, not because you've been cleared yet, but because you know who sent you and what you carry is not theirs to remove. Here's what Michael is specifically doing around you right now. There is a kind of clearing happening in your rational world. The people who were never genuinely safe are being given a natural exit. Doors that were keeping you small are being allowed to close. Not as a punishment, no. As precision, because what you are being moved toward requires a different circle. People who can hold the weight of what you actually are without needing to manage it down or make it more comfortable for themselves. Some of the relationships that are straining right now are not relationships you did something wrong in. They are relationships that simply cannot accommodate what you are becoming. The container got too small. And the discomfort you feel when you try to talk about what's moving in you in those circles. The subtle dismissal, the way certain people go quiet to get uncomfortable or get uncomfortable. That's not your imagination. That's a mismatch. Yeah, that's a mismatch that's becoming impossible to ignore. And Michael's moving those mismatched connections out of your path, not because they are all bad people, no, but because they are not your people for what comes next. Period. That's all. What comes next is real. There are people who haven't met you yet who already need what you carry. There are rooms where your presence will not have to fight for legitimacy, where the very thing that made you too much in one circle are exactly what's been missing. There are collaborations, opportunities, relationships that have been blocked not by your failure, but by your location, spiritual, relational, environmental. And the violent disruption you're experiencing right now is the process of relocating you. It is uncomfortable the way any uprooting is uncomfortable. But a tree, beautiful tree that has outgrown its part, doesn't die from being moved. It dies from staying. What you are feeling is not the feeling of your life falling apart. It's the feeling of your life changing shape to match a large purpose. But here is the part I don't want you to skip past, because this is where most people lose the gift hidden inside this kind of season. What's happening around your name? The attempts at removal, the dark ritual of reframing your story, none of it is wasted. Not a single moment of the unfair, invisible or wrongness of this period is being lost. This season is building something in you that cannot be built on in comfort. A discernment that doesn't need someone to confess to know what's true. A kind of peace that isn't dependent on people finally understanding your side of the story. A groundedness in your own identity that can survive a coordinated campaign to rewrite it. And a compassion. Hear this, a compassion for people walking through exactly what you are walking through right now. Because you will meet them. Yeah. And you will know, without them having to explain it fully exactly what they are carrying. You will be able to say something true that reaches all the way down to the part of them no one else has been able to touch. That is part of why the enemy moved against you. Because the person you become on the other side of this season is someone whose voice carries unusual weight. And he wanted to stop that voice before it fully developed. Now, I want to talk to you about what Michael is doing on the exposure side of this. Because this is not just a story about protection. This is a story about revelation, about words spoken about you in hidden rooms, every carefully edited version of your story passed around, every seed of doubt planted about your character. Michael's light is burning through the architecture of that plot systematically. A message sent to someone who actually knows the full truth. A conversation designed to shift a perception that suddenly gets interrupted by the exact right question. A threat that surfaces. A file that accidentally opens. A slip of the tongue in a perfectly rehearsed narrative that exposes what was actually being said. From where you are standing, it looks like coincidence. From where Michael is standing, it's a precise and methodical dismantling of what was built in the dark. Because that is the nature of the sun that never sets. It doesn't just light up where it shines directly. It bleeds into every shadow at the edge. There is no corner of this situation dark enough to stay hidden indefinitely from what's moving on your behalf. The choice in front of you isn't complicated. Even though it's hard. Choice. You can spend this season shrinking, managing your visibility, softening your edges, apologizing for your light so the people targeting you feel less threatened. You can spend it reactive, running after every rumor, trying to explain yourself to closed rooms, letting their version of your story set the temperature of your days. Or you can spend it becoming so grounded in who you are that their narrative literally cannot find purchase in you. Becoming so focused on the assignment that their campaign becomes background noise you don't have the bandwidth to amplify. Becoming the kind of person whose integrity is its own defense, not because you argued your case perfectly, but because the fruit of your life eventually makes the case for you in a way that cannot be edited, spoon, or deleted. You are their target. Yeah, that is completely true. And it's also the least important true thing about you right now. Because you are Michael's assignment. You are under active, specific, precise divine protection. Your light is not in danger. Their darkness is. What was moved against you last night is already being answered. What was spoken about you in rooms you were not invited to is already on record. What was built around your name in the dark is standing directly in the path of a light that has never lost. The ritual of removal they attempted is being reversed into a ritual of revelation, a slow, relentless, undeniable surfacing of truth that will make visible not just what they did, but what you carry. Who you actually are. What was always in you. You are not a survival on this attack. You are the light that defined the space. And the moment you walked in, the darkness was already gone. Stay in your peace. Stay in your assignment. They can target you all they want. You cannot remove the sun from the sky. And you, right now, are exactly that. The sun that never sets, held in place by a gravity they have no power over, shining in a darkness that, in your presence, simply ceases to exist.